Welcome to the EFL on Quest. We've got a relentless hour and a half of Football League action for you. In the Championship, we will start with 7 matches from tonight, and we have 5 from Tuesday to catch up on. Plus, there was as full a fixture list in Leagues 1 and 2 as circumstances would allow, and some of the games were absolutely out of this world. Now, making his first appearance of the season, Ian Holloway's been working out too, and he's on strict orders to keep it to football, or he simply won't remain. First up, we're off to Deepdale, where Preston North End were without striker Louis Moult for tonight's game against Stoke, so they were relying on Tom Barkhausen to get the job done. Tom Clark returns as captain. Stoke City, well, they were simply hoping for a change of fortune, with Nathan Jones looking a big 3 points to relieve the pressure. Your commentator for our first match tonight is Dan O'Hagan.
Well, Nathan Jones' away record so far is 11 games and 1 win. On their travels, it's been a slow start, let's say, for the Stoke manager. Gallagher, Darkhazen spins away. Darkhazen's ball early in, it's going to come out here to Daniel Johnson to have a go! And have a go he does! Daniel Johnson for Preston North End. Inside 7 first-half minutes, the game's first goal. Daniel Johnson's second goal in as many matches. Darkhazen here would not take no for an answer. The early service, it came Johnson's way. A hammer blow to Stoke. Keeper's hands here not strong enough from Butland, and North End lead by 1-0. Rod, that long chase on here for Barkhazen. Only half away, comes back out to Billy Bodin here. He'll fancy the shots and makes it 2. Only Bodin's second ever North End goal, but what was Jack Butland doing there in the Stoke City goal? High ball from Rudd here. There's no danger, surely. The bouncing ball should be the goalkeeper's ball. Only half clear with the punch. And Bodin there to make it 2. Through the legs, yes, but then through the goalkeeper as well. It should never happen like that to a goalkeeper of Butland's international quality. It's a 2-goal lead against rock-bottom Stoke. Sam Clucas. And now it's come to Tom Ince over the bar. Half an hour gone, by far Stoke's best chance of this torrid first half for them. Ince took on the shot, it was always going to rise too high when he got under it. Corner taken by Edwards. Rudd hasn't got there. And Bauer's header was crucial there for North End beneath his own bar. Rudd's first mistake of the night got beneath the flight of this. Bauer helps him out. Another Edwards corner. Runs on here for Etebo, who can strike them. In by Etebo, over the bar. Well, Tom Ince arrives at the far post, but I think there was a flag anyway here to call the offside against him. Look for Tom Ince at the far post. He's onside there. Etebo's delivery. And there was indeed the flag, which for me was the wrong call. Etebo's pass, loose. Here's Harrop, ahead Daniel Johnson, and here he is. Johnson checks back, and again, oh, saved by Butland. There's Harrop. Oh, what a comeback by him. Look what that means. Out since September of last year with that cruciate knee injury. Etebo's mistake here was seized upon by Harrop initially. Johnson kept out by Butland, who makes a terrific save on this occasion. And then Harrop there to score his 3rd Preston goal. Clucas. And Gregory. In here for Vokes. McLean arriving on this to pull one back for Stoke City. McLean arrives at pace on this deep Gregory cross. The run was timed well, by the winger. Onside clearly, and the finish gets Stoke back to 3-1 in the game's last minute. McLean's ball in, looking for Sam Vokes, who's gone down here. And they ask the question, it's only a goal kick. And the whistle ends the contest. This ball away from Vokes and behind. Well, Preston take their second win this season, but Stoke remain bottom. 4 games, 1 point. The final score here then at Deepdale. It ends tonight, Preston North End 3, Stoke City 1.
You know, I thought it was a tough game. Really pleased to get the result. You know, Stoke are a good side, they've got good players. And we had to work hard. You know, I thought we took our chances when they came along. And I thought we always carried the threat at the top end of the pitch. I thought our play at times was good in spells, a little bit scrappy in others. But it was a hard-working performance that I thought deserved the win.
When you came in, it was always deemed as a long-term plan. How important is it that everybody keeps calm, particularly at this moment?
Well, look, that's out of my hands, but all I can do is work. I know our work is good through the week. I know what we do when it comes on a Saturday. We've had the lion's share of a lot and chances. We've done it. It's just, look, things have not gone for us. We've made it. It's important we stay positive. It's important we try to come through this difficult spell, because if we come through it, we've got a group that's good enough to really go on a run. It's just we have to come through it.
Delighted to see Josh Hara back and on the score sheet again for Preston North End, who've been really, really good at home. Their 2 games, two big wins. But they didn't have to be great tonight, did they? They just needed to work hard for each other. And Stoke showed signs at the weekend, little flourishes, but that seemed back to square one tonight, Ollie.
It must be really frustrating. You know, you could look at his interview there, Jonesy, and I feel for him. I had a big decision to make. He left a brilliant team that he was building. He's gone to Stoke, and there's something wrong with them. You know, that's too easy. There's too many mistakes. It's not just the goalkeeper. You know, when I look at it, 2 midfielders. Joe Allen should have won this challenge here on the edge of the box. It's far too easy when he comes back in, and no one went to the goalie after his mistake.
Yeah,
I mean, he should save that. We all know that.
A bad night for Butland, but mistakes all over the pitch.
No closing on this here. How come someone ain't closing him down there? Yeah, Jack should have done better, but look at him. No one's going to him. No one's saying, oh, someone did there at last, you know. But for me, there's something wrong there. You know, there is. And it didn't happen for Gary Rowett. It didn't happen for Jonesy. They seem unhappy. You know, they weren't even happy with Tony Pulis' way of playing all those years ago. So, you know, that's real tough to turn that around. They're better than that, those players.
But this conversation we're having is like the one we might have had a couple of years ago in last season about Sunderland. It always ends up in the manager going. It doesn't all of a sudden fix itself when we're saying, are the players playing for the manager? Are they putting in 100%? Is it the right manager? Is there square pegs and round holes? Is it too rigid a system? All these questions never ends. It always ends in tears. I'm just being realistic.
It always does, because the manager's the one with the contract that you can get rid of, you know, because you can't get rid of some of these players who really should be pulling their sleeves up.
He brought quite a lot of the players in, though, you know, so...
Yeah. Well, how early is it? That's 4 games in, Cole. You know, but at the end of the day, this is the modern game.
Yeah, carries on from last season. But yeah, okay. Listen, let's get to Ellen Road now. Leeds United, then led by a man who's averaging a goal a game so far, early doors, Patrick Bamford. They had the sweating captain Liam Cooker and Barry Douglas. Only Cooper made it, and their opponents Bradford also have young Ollie Watkins on an early season hot streak, and of course, Pontus Jansson's return added spice as Thomas Frank made just one change from the side who drew at Hull City on Saturday. On to this one, Paul Walker is on the mic.
20 minutes played and still yet to see a noteworthy chance in this game. Here's Jensen. And Buemo. Letting fly. Oh, so unlucky. Well, it's the closest we've come to a goal. What a fantastic try by Brian and Buemo. Casilla nowhere near it. Phillips. Out to Alioski. He can use Harrison if he wants. Tossed in towards Bamford. And Janssen was there. Now Click. Routine stuff for Raya in the end. Big high five from the Bees keeper to the former Leeds defender. Janssen doing just enough, and Klick's shot is saved. Alioski. Really good run. Harrison's up there with him. 4 to aim for inside the area. Alioski. Bamford. Loops it over the bar. Well, he's got plenty of confidence at the moment, Patrick Bamford. Phillips. A lot of space here for Alioski. Bamford making his move. Can he get there? He can! But can't score. Well, it's that Alioski-Bamford combination again. But Bamford couldn't find the target. Raya was committed. It's a lovely ball in from Alioski. And Bamford puts it wrong side of the post. Hernandez on set-piece duty. It's away, but this should drop nicely for Harrison. Nick arriving. Oh, a big shout for handball there. A big shout, and Stuart Dallas is fuming that a penalty has not been given. He's booked for his protests, but he is convinced this should have been a Leeds penalty. Hit Janvier, does it catch him on the arm? They seem to have a strong case. And Mbeumo seeking out Watkins. Has a go, and whistles wide of the post. But the Leeds fans, as you can hear, still upset that they didn't get a penalty at the other end. Leeds hustling and fighting and getting the ball back. Here's Klick. Costa up ahead of him. Well, Costa's got too much for Ethan Pinnock. And Ketia! He simply could not miss. The two substitutes combined to give Leeds the lead. It's been a long time since these fans could cheer a man named Eddie, but the current version has put them in front. Leeds were praying for a goal, and Eddie Nketiah has answered that call.
Proof, Ollie, it's not all about 4-3 thrillers, just a one goal, really good game.
Fantastic game, thoroughly enjoyed it, really impressed with Brentford. Didn't do their normal thing, they tried to stop and quash Leeds, but Bielsa did it again.
Now, here we have Costa, then Nketiah, like we had against Salford. So you need to educate a pleb like me.
Yeah, come on.
They're starting on the bench again. Explain Bielsa's thinking.
They haven't earned the right to be in there yet. He's brought them, he's added them to the squad because they lost Kemar Roof. But what he needs them to do is work at his pressing structure of the front six.
So that's a really interesting, because he's done it before, you know, slowly bringing them in. And it also means those 6 players they know there's players over their shoulder, quality, absolutely, and you're going to get an extra 10% out of them. And every player put a shift in tonight, proper shift.
But they did it under pressure, you know. Their home form was looking a little bit wobbly if you had the last few of last year. So, there you go. Disappointed crowd, they want to get up. Yeah. Here we go, lads, let's go. And that was a big test. Big test against a very good Brentford.
Yeah, they came through. Good game, good 3 points. Right, after the break, it's London calling as we head to the capital for 3 important clashes. So if you're asking yourself one question, should you stay or should you go? You should definitely stay. Welcome back. Our first roundup of action from tonight sees us visit 3 London grounds. We're going to start at the Valley.
One of the latest additions to Lee Bowyer's shrewdly reinforced squad, Erhun Ostuma almost made an instant impression on his debut with a curling corner that very nearly caught out Nottingham Forest. And in rapid succession, a ball back in that Tom Lockyer might have put to better use. The Valley was already bouncing even before that bright start. And it wasn't the last time Iro Muric would come to Forest's rescue. The goalkeeper was forced into action by Conor Gallagher as the Addicts threatened to sweep aside Sabri Lamouchi's men. Charlton were purring, their football flowing towards a focal point of the attack who's taken the Championship by storm. Lyle Taylor on target again, 4 league goals in as many matches, helped by a cracking cross from Jonathan Lecco. But for all the Addicks' dominance, it remained a slender lead, as they were reminded shortly before half-time when they needed Lockyer's perfectly timed intervention to nick the ball off Lewis Grabban's toe at the vital moment. Some encouragement for the visitors, who were pleased to still be in contention on a night when their frustration began to show after the break with Sammy Amiobi's lunge at Deji Oshilaja. Just a yellow card for the Forest man, and a flashpoint that arguably changed the course of the match. The tackles started flying in. Amiobi caught by one from Sam Field that might well have been a penalty, but wasn't even penalised with a free kick. Amid all that, Charlton had lost their rhythm and paid the price for not killing the game off when substitute Albert Adoma crashed in his first goal for Forest, punishing Lockyer's heavy touch to snatch a draw.
The elation of an opening day win is a distant memory for QPR. Eberechi Eze helped his side to 3 points at Stoke in early August, and he looked dangerous as Mark Warburton looked for his first win at Loftus Road since taking over in May. Speaking of May, Andre Ayew's last start for Swansea was in May 2018. He's impressed recently from the bench, and that earned him a place in Steve Cooper's starting 11. He soon justified his selection, playing in Bersent Selina to calmly finish past Joe Lumley just before the half-hour mark. QPR's response came after the break. Todd Kane with the cross that almost caught out Woodman, the bar coming to the keeper's rescue. 10 minutes later, it was the simple approach that worked for QPR. Substitute Elias Chair working the space for a cross, and Jordan Hugill heading in from close range. The West Ham loanee making his mark in West London. As the home side continued to dominate in the second half, all of the action was happening in one penalty area. Chair involved again as his shot was charged down by Jake Bidwell. The ball definitely hit the defender's hands, but referee Paul Tierney waved play on. But minutes later, Tierney did point to the spot. Swansea finally creating something in the QPR box after 20 minutes of defending. Jordan Garrick brought down as he burst into the box. The referee well placed to decide that Yohan Barbet had made the foul. After one forgotten Swansea man was involved in the opener, another scored their second. Boyar from the spot. 4 goals in 4 games now since his return to the side. Ayew proved his worth again before the final whistle. A whipped ball in for Sam Surridge to score his first for the club since joining on loan from Bournemouth. Swansea score 3 for the 3rd match in a row, and Steve Cooper's start to the season couldn't have gone much better.
In the lead-up to this London derby, Neil Harris spoke generously about Fulham and the Premier League quality they possess. And the Whites' fearsome front three, spearheaded by Alexander Mitrovic, set about proving him right. The Serbian was denied by Bartosz Bielkowski early on, but with Anthony Knockaert to his right and Ivan Cavaleiro to his left, it wasn't long before Fulham's pedigree started to show. Cavaliero's first goal at Craven Cottage came right out of the top drawer. On the other wing, the Whites have Knockaert, who scored 15 goals the last time he played in the Championship. His first for Fulham arrived from Cavaliero's cross as Scott Parker's side cruised to a 2-0 lead at the break. Fulham had 89% of possession in the first half. Despite a spirited start to the second 45 from the previously unbeaten Millwall, Fulham soon added to their lead. A dramatic fall from Mitrovic earned them a penalty. The Serbian took it himself, ensuring that Fulham's irresistible attacking unit had one apiece. Whites fans aren't used to seeing this sort of thing in London derbies. Fulham had lost their previous 10 matches against their near neighbours, Last, they had an opportunity to dish out some capital punishment. From Tom Cairney's pass, Cavaleiro scored his third goal in his last 2 games to complete Fulham's biggest win for over a year and a half.
A lot of people in the EFL on Quest offices are going really early on Fulham. They're going to go back up. They're so impressed by what they've seen so far. Way too early to say that, but we are in a situation where even when a player like Cavaleiro here scores 2 goals and sets one up, we could name another 4 or 5 players who were brilliant.
I think this summer their signings have been absolutely outstanding. You've got Cavaleiro, just mentioned, obviously. Great goal. He got one like that on the weekend. Absolutely fantastic. You got Anthony Knockaert. Unbelievable. You got a clone of Sessegnon. You got his younger brother
coming through. Harry Arter, though.
Harry Arter.
I'm going to put him top of the list because I think you can't go through their midfield when he plays, Ollie. That's the key. And he's the cotton wool player for me.
I think he's the bricks and mortar for me. He makes everything work, Cole. You know, he keeps everything together, and his fighting spirit is just like an image, really, of Scotty Parker himself. So I'm delighted for him.
QPR did play well tonight, by the way, especially the front 3. But Swansea did the business. And talk to me a bit about Cooper, because 5 games, 4 wins and a draw. That's how he started life to management. Ain't always going to be this easy.
No, but you can see what he's doing, and it's a really tough job. You know, they've had no money. They lost Ollie McBurney just before the window closed, but stroke of genius from Coops, because he's got the goal. Yeah. Are you scoring?
And he's got Borja
scoring. Nowhere, I mean, they were out in the cold. Yeah. And I read something the other day about you saying thank you to him. Yeah. You make me feel welcome and I'll play for you. No, listen, I've got to say, Charlton Athletic in the first half tonight were mesmeric. What were you like? Oh, so good. Ask their fans. Honestly, amazing. But 2 huge decisions here in the second half. Ameobi on Oshalaja. What's your take on this? Is this a red? I can honestly say that's, whether he meant it or not. Over the ball, right through. Over the ball, it's totally reckless. For me, Oliver Langford, the ref's got that wrong. That should be a red. There is no debate with this. Have a look at this. This is Sandfield on Ameobi. A penalty, looks like, and that's a potential leg breaker. It is, and not even a free kick given there, Yeah. Oliver Langford, have a look at that. Wow, that's awful. 2 big decisions everyone's talking about. Right, 2 more games from this evening before we recap last night's second tier 5. We're off to Cardiff, but first to the Hawthorns.
Reading last won a league game at the Hawthorns 31 years ago when Kylie Minogue topped the charts with I Should Be So Lucky. Maybe the Royals' Omar Richards listens to a spot of Kylie in the shower, because he was certainly extremely lucky to get away with what looked like a clear trip on Darnell Furlong. On a night like this, referee Peter Banks would have some big decisions to make. Southampton fans were happy to see the back of Charlie Austin this summer, but Baggies boss Slaven Bilic said, "I believe in you," giving the much-travelled frontman a first league start for his new club. And it would have been love at first sight for the West Brom faithful if Austin had managed a debut goal. Reading keeper Raphael had other ideas. In a game of few chances, the visitors took the lead on 71 minutes. Liverpool loanee Ovie Ejaria said, "Get out of my way," as he burst through to send an unstoppable shot past Sam Johnstone. Reading seemingly on course for a second successive league win, their form spinning around after they'd lost their first 2. But with time running out, Ejaria went from hero to zero when Filip Krovinovic surged into the area, only to be brought down by the Royals' goal scorer. He won't be able to get this mistimed tackle out of his head for a long time. The referee had waved away that earlier appeal. This time, Reading's luck had definitely run out. Kenneth Zohore stepped up to handle spot kick duties, better the devil you know after all, and calmly dispatched his effort beyond Raphael's reach. When you've got to be certain Zohore's your man. After this one, the only thing you can say is wow.
Huddersfield began life under interim head coach Mark Hudson at Cardiff after Jan Sievert's firing at the weekend, and early signs were little had changed. The Bluebirds by far the better side from the off, Josh Murphy getting the best out of Kamil Grabara. This game finished 0-0 in both Premier League meetings last season, despite 36 attempts on goal across the 180 minutes, mainly thanks to finishing like this, Robert Glatzel missing the target from 5 yards out. Hudson had promised Karlan Grant more support up front, but for most of the first half it was slow in coming, and when it did, Jonathan Hogg couldn't beat Alex Smithies. Aidan Flint is a real threat in both penalty areas and caused several problems here. Huddersfield struggling to cope with an aerial bombardment, Leandro Bacuna almost taking full advantage. Cardiff deserved a goal and eventually got one. Another crossfield ball to Flint, his nod down not dealt with by the Terriers' defence, and Joe Rawls nicked the ball from between Hogg's legs and curled it past Grabara, his second of the season. The visitors desperately needed a spark from somewhere and got it in the unlikely figure of Trevor Chalobah. On his first league start for Huddersfield, the Chelsea loanee seemingly going nowhere, until he unleashed a shot that caught everyone, including Smithies, by surprise, and suddenly parity was restored. Despite ceding possession for much of the game, Cardiff still carried more of a threat and almost won it from the left boot of Omar Bogle, his free kick off the bar, much to Neil Warnock's frustration. With only 2 minutes to go though, Josh Murphy muscled his way into midfield and sent Junior Hoylett on his way. Faced with 4 defenders, he had no right to score, but a fatal deflection from Tommy Elphick whipped the ball past Grabara. Cardiff are now unbeaten in 12 games against Huddersfield, but the stats make grim reading for the Terriers. Without a win of any kind since February the 26th, they've won only 4 of their last 52 competitive games.
Not a great game, and when things aren't going for you, you get late goals like that. Who's right for Huddersfield in terms of where they are? Is it Mark Hudson, Chris Hughton, Phil Parkinson on the mix? We'll get to that later. Sol Campbell's going to maybe the wild card choice here. What do they need?
They need another David Wagner, to be honest. Who
good luck.
I mean, to try and follow him has been almost impossible. You know, what the fella did was unbelievable, very Klopp-esque, you know, fantastically. The energy they had there. And really, that last goal there, you could see the energy's gone out of them, you know, and to turn it around is going to be really tough for whoever they
comes
choose.
In. Let's talk about Reading. Reasons to be excited, maybe for the first time in a few seasons.
Why not?
Haven't they bought really well?
Oh, Puskas is unbelievable. The goal he got the other day, and this young lad on loan, what a finish. He had a bit of a sorry night in the end. He gave the penalty away, but I could watch that goal all night. Absolutely a joy.
Jaria is on loan from Liverpool, but it's with a view to buy him as well. So fans very exciting about that. And but you've got ahead of ourselves. But you know, a few seasons it's been about hanging in.
You know,
now Reading are looking up.
They've gone a long way away from Jaap Stam's wonderful team and wonderful way of playing. So, you know, good luck to them.
Going back that way, exciting times. Right, when we return, not one single 0-0 as we look back on all the action from last night's Championship games. And then League 1 and 2 after that. You won't believe some of the encounters. No sleep till midnight. Trust your Uncle Colin. Welcome back. Blackburn Rovers headed over to Hull on Tuesday night, looking to build on Saturday's win at home to Borough.
Stewart, nicely done. Irving, good ball. Krasicki, who's really the joker in the whole pack. Krasicki's ball square. Oh! Well, they're appealing and they've got it. It's a penalty to Hull City. It's a fierce drive by Batty, which was blocked. Irving looking for the rebound. Johnson made the challenge right in front of the referee, who could not have been better placed to decide. Oh, saved by Walton. Jared Bowen, of all people, denied. Hull's main goal man took the penalty kick and Walton saved it. Armstrong and Johnson and Gallagher in the middle. It's Johnson! Clipped the woodwork. Just clipped off the angle of post and bar. It's a very good angled header. Jared Bowen. Oh, and it's come off the woodwork from Krasicki. It's a great strike. Here's Irving. Krasicki again. Oh, and he nearly hit the other post. Good pressing, forced the error. Batty played it into Krasicki. Smashed off the left-hand upright. Lenihan. Bennett into Dack. Dack helping it on its way. Oh, and it hits the post. Wow, Downing against the upright. Really have been some opportunities in this game. Not a great ball from Eves, was it? Stuart Downing's onto it. Armstrong in this attack, Dack in this attack. Gallagher getting forward. Johnson! Johnson in a pocket of space, picked out by Downing, and it clipped the bar again. Downing over the free kick. Little flick on and in. Derek Williams heads Blackburn in front. Downing clipped it in left-footed. Williams with the header and Blackburn with the lead. Just dropped inside the post. Got himself, Williams, in front of his man, crucially, and got to the ball first. Cunningham. Positive run from Cunningham. Very positive run from Cunningham. He's still going, and it took long to save. Excellent run from Cunningham, left back. Charging forward. Terrific run. Really good stuff. Towards the edge of the penalty area. Dropping inside that box. Bowler goes down. Referee's not interested. Both with their eyes on the ball. Nothing doing.
I thought the ref was disappointing all night for both teams. That's me being truthfully honest. But yeah, we were disappointed. You know, right at the end as well, I thought we had a penalty, clear-cut penalty on Josh Bowler. Didn't get it.
We're quite tight tonight for time. Let's just look at the goal, which there's problems with VAR, but when you see this, you kind of think it's certainly better than having these stand.
That's my stance on it all along. But yeah, that's a foul. Armstrong strong-armed him there, and that's a foul. He's offside when it's headed in. I mean, come on.
It's from a set piece, Ollie, so, you know, I've all the sympathy for the referees, but that one, even in real time last night watching it, was glaring.
It's not just the ref. Where's the linesman?
Yeah.
That flag should have gone up there.
From a set piece.
And that was a penalty as well.
Yeah. OK. Last 4 championship games now. Finishing with Jonathan Woodgate's quest for a first win as a manager. But we're going to start at the other end of the table as Lee Bullen looked to add even more ticks to his CV. A win at home to Luton would see Wednesday top on Wednesday.
Until this week, Bristol City's start to the season had been a bit of a damp squib. But with the first win achieved, the Robins now faced unbeaten Derby County. Former Ram Andreas Weimann needed no second invitation to punish his old club. His 16th minute pirouette had the Robins looking good for 2 wins on the spin. Derby weren't showing quite the same poise in front of goal. Mason Bennett wasn't the only one to suffer from a lack of composure when it came to pulling the trigger. Bennett himself created another scoring chance before half-time, but Daniel Bentley's save ensured a head-in-hands moment for Tom Lawrence. To make matters worse, Bristol City doubled their lead in first half stoppage time. Josh Brownhill scoring his first goal for the Robins, thanks to Weimann's astute dummy. Derby improved in the second half, but they'd given themselves too much to do. So despite a splendid effort on the turn from Jack Marriott, the Rams went down to their first defeat under Philip Cocu.
Sheffield Wednesday were intent on bouncing straight back from the weekend defeat at Millwall, but were nowhere near their best in the first half, even though Kadeem Harris made sure Luton's Simon Sluga was on his toes in what became a nervous night for the 2 goalkeepers. At the other end, James Collins pressured Kieran Westwood into a mistake that presented Andrew Shinnie with a shooting opportunity. Wednesday's number 1 recovering just in time to spare himself from huge embarrassment. While Luton's effort was pleasing manager Graham Jones, who feels they're edging closer to a first championship win since promotion, he missed the key moment after the break. The boss's back was turned, rather like Ryan Tunnicliffe's when Sluga's throw sold the midfielder short. Jacob Murphy seized on the mistake, picking out Stephen Fletcher, and Harris could hardly miss. The winger's second goal of the season, and another boost perhaps to Lee Bullen's prospects of earning himself a longer stay in the Hillsborough dugout. The caretaker boss admits right now he's living the dream, and with the team heading for an overnight perch at the top of the championship table, who could blame him? Despite the assistant referee ruling out Fletcher's effort that would have made for a more comfortable finish, Wednesday were heading for their first league victory over the Hatters since 1992 and a third league win in 4 this season. A club making light of Steve Bruce's departure, with Massimo Luongo just a whisker away in stoppage time from adding to the scoreline.
A trip to St Andrews looked to be the ideal venue for a Barnsley team without a victory since the opening day. After all, the Reds had won on 3 of their previous 4 visits there. In truth, the only real moment of note for them in the first half was Bambo Diaby's penalty claim that ultimately fell on deaf ears. Harley Dean did seem to take a hands-on approach, but the force was minimal. Birmingham were keen to bounce back from a dismal showing at Nottingham Forest at the weekend. Fran Vialba tested the reflexes of Sammy Radlinger, and that was about as good as it got for either side before the interval. After it, the Yorkshire club were again indebted to their keeper and grateful for a huge slice of fortune. Lukas Jutkiewicz denied before some desperate defending just about managed to get them out of trouble. In a tight affair, the first goal was always going to be crucial, and Daniel Stendel's team of fledglings were undone when Wes Harding measured the perfect cross for Jutkiewicz to do the rest. The striker becoming the first Blues player to score in 4 successive home league games since, well, Lukas Jutkiewicz last October. Barnsley never recovered, and the home side wrapped things up just 8 minutes later. Summer signing Alvaro Jimenez latching on to Steve Seddon's ball forward, and the Spaniard marked his full debut by coolly putting away his first for the club. After the close season departure of Shea Adams, Blue Nosers will be hoping there's plenty more where that came from.
Even this early in the season, there's been a little bit of pressure building on Middlesbrough manager Jonathan Woodgate, who hadn't managed to register a win in his first 3 league games. That looks set to change against Wigan when Borough took the lead midway through the first half. Johnny Howson with a delightful cross, Britta Sombolonga with one of those headers that leave goalkeepers flapping at thin air. Borough's sense of urgency had already seen Marcus Brown booked for a silly challenge, and he was lucky to stay on the pitch after this one. Woodgate had seen enough. Brown didn't appear for the second half. Cool heads required as the home side looked to preserve their advantage. Wigan rarely threatened, and a second goal looked more likely from the hosts. Danny Ayala's goal-bound header was scrambled clearer, and Borough held out with a minimum of drama. It wasn't a classic, but Woodgate's been around long enough to know he's in the results business now.
We've played well in a few games this season and got nothing from it. It wasn't the greatest spectacle tonight, but we ground it out and got a 1-0 victory, and it's great to get a clean sheet as well.
It was all about 3 points, and Jonathan Woodgate's taken a little bit of a battering at the start of his managerial careers. 2 things, positives. 1, taking Brown off at half-time. Right decision, he was lucky to be in the pitch. But he's also getting a tune out of Britta Sombolonga, and by that I mean he's playing every minute of every game so far this season.
Yeah, if you look at his potential, you know, he's still scored 1 in 3, which is great stats for a striker. But here he goes. He's on the move there, you know, and someone like Brett, you've got to believe in him. You know, you've got to do that. And you know, sometimes I would get frustrated. Some strikers have got everything. They look like they should be doing a lot better. And a couple of years ago, we thought he was going to go to the Premier League. So, you know, hopefully Jonathan could get that out of him.
He's certainly the main man for him this season. In various games, but particularly in that package, we see teams getting undone, trying to play out from the back, even if it's a keeper, if it's left back, right back, centre backs. Is there no other option now? Because if you're going to hoof a ball, you need to get results. And even then, in 2019, fans will definitely not be happy.
It's been taken to another level. It's not just winning. It's about how you play and how you win. You know, and if you take a risk of being more of a long ball coach and direct coach, you're not fashionable anymore. It's like a pair of trousers, mate. You're not going to wear a pair of flares tonight. You've got them lovely tight ones on. That's it. It's in fashion.
Simple as that. You're going to keep your job, take the risk now, even if there's a bit of bloodletting at the start of the season to get it right.
You've got to keep doing it. Yeah. You've got to do it the right way.
Yeah, OK. Thank you. No bell bottoms and good analysis, which is a win all round. Let's have a look at the tables for the first time this season. For me, I'd wait 10 games, but I've been overruled.
10 games, mate.
Yeah, I think so. 4 matches, though. We thought it was time to show you who's at the top. Leeds United head the Sky Bet Championship. Look at Swansea there, under new management. What a start for him. Level on points. Charlton and West Brom, the only other unbeaten sides after 4 games. I love this league. A trio of teams are still waiting though for their first wins. We've seen Stoke, Huddersfield and Luton, and they all make up the bottom 3 as it stands at the moment. Now, after the break, we have the early contender for game of the season. Coventry went crazy on the south coast. I don't care how tired you are, work can wait. You cannot miss this. Tuesday night under the lights at Fratton Park always promised to be exciting, and it did not disappoint. Coventry went to Portsmouth, and Dan Mason is going to do his very best to call this mayhem.
Ball from Liam Kelly, looking to get Matthew Godden away. Coventry streaming forward on the counter-attack, and here's Jordi Hawula. Coventry lead. 3 minutes played. Hawula with the goal. The first that Portsmouth have let in at Fratton Park this season. Marcus Harness. Oh, that's a good cross, and Curtis converts it. It wasn't very pretty from Pompey, but it was effective. Curtis, Houndstrup overlapping, and players in the middle for Pompey. There's Marquis, and they've turned it around. Goalkeeper and defender left it to one another, and Marquis said thank you very much. Back to Downing, knocks it long. McFadzean there. Oh, he's giving it straight to Evans. Gareth Evans for 3-1. Awful mistake by McFadzean. And Portsmouth's 100% home record looks like continuing. Evans with the flick, appeals for handball. Curtis is away, but the whistle's gone. It won't count from Curtis. It's been pulled back for the handball. Oh, and it's Darboe, and he's been booked. He's in trouble. Coventry down to 10. Coventry corner then. Cleared by Portsmouth. Kelly, oh, that could be a penalty. It is a penalty. A very clumsy challenge by Ben Close. Matthew Godden scores for Coventry. And all of a sudden, the 10 men have half a chance. Curtis with the crossing. Chris knocks it up in the air. Harness battling. He's muscled out of it. Coventry not throwing the towel in just yet. Oh, Downing caught. And that's Castanier again, who's already booked. Coventry could be down to 9 here. 2 yellows in 11 minutes for Castanier. Another long throw. There's Rose. Oh, they've done it! Michael Rose for 9-man Coventry. What a comeback! What a game! It's 3-3 here.
I'm not going to ask you to analyse it. Mark Robins' point of view, no team talk needed for a couple of weeks, right? They'll all feel like superheroes with S's on their chest.
Quite rightly so. You know, that's a very, very unusual thing. You get one back with 10 men. I mean, this is a really sloppy challenge. And then to get one back with 9 men is almost remarkable.
Okay. I had some Portsmouth fans in my family. Am I allowed to admit that? Yeah. The one complaint sometimes I have with Kenny Jackett, who knows a friend of yours and I have so much respect for, is overly cautious at times. He's given a blank checkbook last night. Team are down to 10 men, he makes a defensive substitution. Then he like they score, and then he brings on Brett Pittman, you know, so he reversed it almost. And that's what a lot of the chat's about. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, you could just say it. I mean, Ken is very experienced, very, very great manager, good manager, particularly at this level, and he's got the pressure of the weight of the Portsmouth supporters. But, you know, for me, he was always the defensive mind of my gung-ho, go for it. So, you know, you need a little bit of that. So he would have made a decision thinking that against 10 men, 2 goals ahead, you're almost done it, just try and make sure. So I'm not criticising him, I wasn't there, I didn't see how it went, but all I can do is just say massive congratulations to Mark Robbins and his team.
Well handled, both sides of the story there. Now, while that game was unbelievable, I'm telling you, there are two others at least coming up in League One and League Two that run it close, believe it or not. But next up, the only two sides with 100% records in the third tier, that's Lincoln City and Blackpool. They were both on the team buses and heading to enemy territory.
Lincoln didn't only have a 100% record this season, they'd yet to concede a goal. That lasted all of 71 seconds at MK Dons, a glorious sweeping move culminating in Kieran Agard's ball in for Callum Britton to finish off. The Imps' 8 league goals had all been scored by different players, until Tyler Walker, with his second in as many games, expertly guided into the very bottom corner. The Dons' second was as fortuitous as it was controversial. Jordan Bowery's volley taking a key deflection off George Williams, who was as oblivious to the ball as referee Michael Salisbury was to Lincoln's pleas for an offside. Dons scoring from their only 2 shots of the first half. Jason Shackle scored a late winner in the reverse fixture last year and almost got an equaliser with the final act of the game. His header crashing off the bar, MK just about holding on.
Every now and then, a player clearly just fancies it. Everything he tries comes off, and nobody can touch him. Step forward, Alex Jakubiak, the star of the first half for Gillingham. Within the first 10 minutes, he had the home side one up. And half an hour later, he'd made it 2-0, leaving defenders on their backsides and riding his luck in the way only informed players can. If the first 37 minutes were all about an individual display, the following 8 were about a team effort. Blackpool dissecting the defence with the precision of a surgeon before Sully Kaikai finished the move off. The Seasiders continued to push as the match headed towards half-time. A bit of penalty box pinball before Curtis Tilt flipped the defence and got his shot away, only for the post to deny him a first of the season. But Blackpool weren't to be denied for long. In the 3rd minute of first half stoppage time, Liam Feeney knew exactly how to find the tallest man in the box. Armand Nandouye headed in to complete the first half comeback. That makes it 4 goals in League and Cup already this season. The visitors almost stole all 3 points with 11 minutes to go. Kaikai bringing out a fine save from Jack Bonham. Both sides had to settle for a point.
Fleetwood made a strong start against a Wycombe side protecting an unbeaten league record, but luck wasn't on their side as Wes Burns took aim with a long-range effort which sent reverberations along the crossbar. But as the weather worsened, the Chairboys improved, and early in the second half they went in front. Adebayo Akinfenwa with the header. His celebration probably registered on the Richter scale. Inside the last 10 minutes, they could have made it 2, but Darius Charles could only find the post. A let-off for Fleetwood, and with time running out, they made the most of it. Visiting keeper Ryan Alsop couldn't hold on to a wet ball, and Paddy Madden pounced. His 3rd league goal of the campaign, ensuring parity in the precipitation.
A milestone moment at Portman Road for a player taking his first steps in the professional game. Wimbledon's Nestor Guinness-Walker lived up to his surname, proving he's got a good head on his shoulders and slowing the pace to steady himself as he slotted the Dons ahead with his first league goal. Ipswich's unbeaten start to the campaign under threat until 9 minutes from time when James Norwood came tanking in, delighting a home crowd that included lifelong fan Ed Sheeran. He's keen on a collaboration and will have loved this one. Cole Skuse lofting the ball to Caden Jackson a full 4 minutes into stoppage time. Another very late goal and cheers that were music to the ears of Sheeran and co.
Don't know whether you believe in the 12th man, but at Ipswich it was definitely there last night. Listen, we're a bit up against the time, Wise. Tell me a bit about Sully Kaikai, because you had him and big for Blackpool.
Really frustrated lad. Fantastic talent coming through at Palace. I'm delighted for him. He was always going to be a player, and sometimes they don't realise you've got to have a little bit of patience.
MK Dons Lincoln City was such a big game. There's a goal that no one's going to be talking about. This goal, George Williams. Looks like it hit him and went in and they got lucky. I think his reactions here are absolutely sensational. I think he deliberately flicks that ball into the net from the ground, Ollie. Just have a little look at this. Maybe he was missed a little bit on the night. He's looking at it, and he flicks out at it. Brilliant reactions. If a keeper had those reactions, we'd be singing his praises.
We'd be calling him the cat. That is fantastic. I totally agree with you. First time I've seen that, wow.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. Right, OK. I wish we could stay on until 3 in the morning, but alas, that's not possible. So here are 5 games back-to-back, all of them worthy of separate billing. We start with a jaw-dropper at Wham Stadium, which will definitely wake you up.
League One had plenty of contenders for Game of the Night, and Accrington v Shrewsbury was certainly one of them. The fun really began after an hour, when former Stanley defender Omar Beckles bundled over Colby Bishop in the area for a penalty. Bishop himself took it, sending Max O'Leary the wrong way brilliantly for his 3rd goal in 3 games. 5 minutes later, a second, the home side making good use of the new £350,000 playing service at the Wham Stadium to find Dion Charles. His first goal in EFL football will prove difficult to top. With only 13 minutes remaining, a lifeline for the visitors. Ryan Giles' cross punched by Dimi Evtimov against the shins of Mark Hughes. A great finish, but in the wrong end. Enter from the Shrews subs bench best mates Daniel Udo and Fajiri Okinabire. First, Sean Goss's corner from the left, met with a sensational back heel by Okinabire for the equaliser. And then, with only a minute left, a hopeful punt forward wasn't dealt with by Joe Maguire, and Udo, on his Shrewsbury debut, powered through and slipped the ball under Evtimov to seal an unlikely comeback and spark raucous celebrations in the away end.
Two unbeaten records on the line here, and despite being the better side for most of it, Rochdale were a goal down inside half an hour. Lyndon Gooch, Chris Maguire and Luke O'Nien all involved in a slick build-up before Aidan McGeady tucked away the opener firmly against the run of play. But McGeady's joy at scoring his first league goal of the campaign was short-lived. 5 minutes later, the hosts were back on terms. Oliver Rathbone doing much of the legwork down the Rochdale left, and then picking out Stephen Dooley, who in turn spotted Callum Camps arriving unmarked to score his 3rd goal in as many matches. 1-1, an all-too familiar scoreline for the Black Cats. 15 of their games last season had finished that way, in addition to the first 2 games of this campaign. They could ill afford another one. Just shy of the hour, they managed to catch a break. O'Nien's cross was knocked down by McGeady, and on his first start of the season, Charlie Wyke squeezed in the winner.
A decade on from his last goal for Burton Albion, Jake Buxton swooped to open the scoring at Oxford. The 34-year-old took his career to a higher level in between, but even with all his experience, won't have played in many matches where fortunes fluctuated like this. In the second half, the home side came surging back, getting themselves level through Cameron Brannigan's 3rd goal in 4 appearances. And less than 10 minutes later, they had the chance to turn the contest on its head, as Anthony Ford raced clear of the Albion defence. Kieran Wallace did his very best to catch up, but couldn't prevent the U's from taking the lead. According to Burton manager Nigel Clough, that was a kick up the backside for his players, who increased their efforts and forced some desperate-looking defending from the home side, before Scott Fraser arrived and managed to make a clean connection. All square, and the pendulum starting to swing back in Albion's favour. 9 minutes later, emboldened by that success, Fraser thought that from much further out it might be worth trying his luck, and found it was very good indeed. Helped by a hefty deflection, the Scotsman had Burton in front, prompting a double substitution and switch in formation for Oxford that manager Carl Robinson admitted later was a mistake. As the U's tried to chase the game, Albion took advantage. Liam Boyce had already hit the post before a career high for Fraser. His first ever hat-trick complete as Oxford slipped to just their 2nd home defeat of 2019.
Bristol Rovers' long wait for a first league goal of the season came to an end after 38 minutes against Tranmere. Josh Hare's tempting cross powerfully dispatched by Johnson Clark-Harris. No more than Rovers deserved on the balance of play. Tranmere didn't help their own cause with what can only be described as a series of self-inflicted implosions in the second half. Here's the first one. Nothing going on until Corey Blackett-Taylor goes full metal meltdown, shoving Ollie Clark right in front of the referee. Tranmere manager Mickey Mellon described it as a mad act, and there was another one to come just 9 minutes later, frankly every bit as bonkers. For reasons of his own, Ollie Banks decided to go studs up on the knee of Luke Leahy following a throw-in of all things. Just to add to the general air of chaos, the already booked Banks then tried to argue that he hadn't actually been yellow-carded in the first place, so he shouldn't have to go. Referee Gavin Ward had clearly had enough of all this mayhem. Banks joined Blackett-Taylor for first shot at the shower gel. Presumably both have already been signed up for an anger management course. With time running out, there was one more moment of madness to come, although this one can at least be excused by the pressure of the situation. George Ray bringing down Tyler Smith for a penalty. Ironically, the visitors had rallied after going down to 9 men, but there was no coming back from this. Smith dispatched the spot kick himself to secure the Gas their first 3-point haul of the season.
3 defeats out of 3 so far for Southend. Darren Ferguson's posh side weren't faring much better, just 1 point on the board. But after a goalless first half, the visitors picked up, George Boyd hitting a post before Mo Issa broke the deadlock 10 minutes after the break, scoring for the second time in 4 days, the summer signing poking in Marcus Maddison's cross. If Issa and Ivan Toney can develop a partnership, Peterborough won't struggle for goals this season. For the second game in a row, they both got their names on the score sheet, and this time it was enough for a first win of the season. Mark Milligan headed against the bar with a few minutes to go as the Shrimpers tried to salvage something from the match. Only the dire situations at Bury and Bolton is keeping them off the bottom.
I wish we had 40 minutes to talk about all that, but we have a minute. I want to concentrate on Scott Fraser and his hat-trick that he got for Burton. I know we have a lot of respect for Nigel Cloughan. Not for the first time they looked at the Scottish leagues for gold. Yeah, they've got a great record. Before Fraser, who's their latest one, they had Templeton, Boyce, Edwards and Irvine. That's the way, it's a masterclass of how to run a club. Cut your cloth accordingly. Great coaching, honest throughout. Fantastic. Yeah, whether they're Scottish or not, we're talking about coming from the Scottish leagues. You get value for money. McGinn in there, Robertson, of course. Should more teams be looking up there? Without a shadow of doubt. Yeah. But, you know, that's why I love Burton so much. Their owner's brilliant, their manager's fantastic fella. So and overachieved so much. Well done, Cloughie. Sam Ricketts, covered in glory. Shrewsbury, I wish I had, as I say, 10 minutes for that. Both sub scoring, masterstrokes from him. And Gas finally scoring. Clark Harris is everything, isn't he? Should get the key to the city. Come on. Should get to live in any house he wants. Come on. Any blue house anyway in Bristol. Last year, mate. Yeah. Absolutely. How Coventry let him go, who knows? But well done to Graham Coughlin. Come on, lads. Let's get going. OK, let's have a look at the tables then. Blackpool are the early pace setters, a point clear of Lincoln City, who suffered their first loss at MK Dons. 5 of the top 6 remain unbeaten. Southend United are the only side in the division to lose all 4 of their matches. And of course, Bury and Bolton sit in the bottom 2, but far more important battles ahead. D-Day for Bury on Friday. Will they get a stay of education? And news tonight that Phil Parkinson has handed in his resignation at Bolton Wanderers. It's interesting that, you know, good or bad, mixed feelings, whatever people think about the job he's done as a manager, you love him or whatever. No one's in doubt as to what kind of man he is. Oh, fantastic person, isn't he? How strong is he? He's stuck through it. He's encouraged everybody else, created a siege mentality, and, you know, I'm not surprised he's left. You know, good luck to him. Yeah, a lot of love from Bolton Wanderers fans tonight online for Phil Parkinson. Now, after the break, we head to League Two. Even more epic midweek games. It was a really, really good round of fixtures. Don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for staying up. League Two's Tuesday night action now in 2 big lumps, starting at Crawley, who faced a Crewe Alexandra side full of confidence since their Carabao Cup victory over the Borough.
Crewe dominated on their last visit to this part of Sussex and ended up losing 3-0, and they were soon fearing a repeat this time. Crawley had barely had a kick by the time Bez Labala powered his way through to break the deadlock and bring up his 4th goal in as many matches. The Alex, though, were playing some scintillating stuff at times and got their reward on the half hour. Charlie Kirk teeing up Ryan Wintle, who cracked in his first of the campaign to send the teams to the break all square. From the restart, Crewe picked up where they left off. Kirk with another assist as Paul Green headed home to clinch David Artell's 50th win as manager, and one that takes them to the top of League Two.
An unbeaten start for Swindon had left the Robins perched at the top of League Two ahead of the visit of Northampton. The match sprung into life after the break when Lloyd Isgrove picked out Jordan Lydon. David Cornell did well to tip the header over. Keith Curle's side were yet to win this season, but made up for the disappointment of their opening 3 matches by claiming a big scalp on the road. Former Swindon man Andy Williams found himself on the end of a Ryan Watson flick on. As everyone around him waited for a whistle that would never come, he smashed in the winner. Replay showed the Swindon players probably had justification for their protests. 3 points give the Cobblers a lift, and the other sides at the bottom of the table have to watch curls go by, thanks to Andy Williams.
Port Vale do like a bit of symmetry. In 3 league games they'd scored first, so no surprise to see them taking the lead against Forest Green. James Gibbons crossing perfectly for Richie Bennett to grab a highlight reel opener on 4 minutes. But Vale had failed to hold on to their lead in those previous 3 outings, and sure enough, they barely held on to this one for 2 minutes. Gibbons turned provider at the other end, his slip allowing Joe Mills to rifle home a leveller. Vale seemingly on course for a 4th 1-all draw on the spin. Instead, the host decided to change the narrative. David Amu's summer arrival from Cambridge has certainly had a positive impact, and his 2nd league goal of the campaign gave his side a 34th minute lead. There could have been more too in the second half. Nathan Smith denied by Joe Wallicott's point-blank save. So a first league win for Vale, a first league defeat for Rovers. You could call that symmetry too.
Macclesfield appointed former Ebbsfleet manager Daryl McMahon on Monday to replace Sol Campbell, and his reign almost got off to the perfect start against Morecambe. Fiacre Kelleher's header just tipped onto the bar by Barry Roach. Despite almost constant pressure from the home side in the pouring rain, it was the Shrimps who took the lead. Stephen Old's looping cross just travelling far enough to reach Richie Sutton, stooping to head in his first goal for the club. That goal seemed to deflate Macclesfield, with the visitors coming closest to a second. Sean Miller pouncing on Jay Harris's poor back pass, rounding Owen Evans, but hitting the post. Some promising signs for McMahon, but Morecambe pick up their first win of the season.
Just a few days ago, Matt Jay was celebrating a goal which earned Exeter a draw against Swindon. I told him he should have repeated the feat, no doubt still wondering how his header ended up wide of the mark. That little bit of luck the Latics needed perhaps after 3 straight defeats, though not everything went their way. Dean Moxey managed to foil Zach Mills from point-blank range to make sure the Devon club departed with their unbeaten start to the league campaign still intact.
2 sides with big ambitions. Salford took the lead at Argyle. Jake Beasley's header was a good start for a side struggling to live up to their billing. Stars of the small screen they may be, but Salford are discovering that League Two is no respecter of celebrity. Argyle soon brought them back down to earth. Danny Mayer's screamer arrived just 6 minutes later. Yes, they have the backing of the class of '92, but on the pitch they're still learning. When Ibu Toure found the net, Salford were all set to celebrate a first away win of the season. But perhaps hearing of the ratings in Salford's TV show, Callum McFadzean created a late plot twist. His fall in the penalty area was dramatic and certainly produced conflict. Penalty taker Dominic Telford had the final word in more ways than one. It's safe to say he wasn't asking for an autograph. You see, on-demand documentaries are all well and good, but the harsh reality of League Two is something else entirely.
Such a big game, 3rd and 4th favourites. Just what a gem is Danny Mayer. What else can you add about this player?
Well, they lost a brilliant player in Graham Carey, and they've replaced him with probably the best player in the league last season. And there, look at that, top class, man, top class.
4 days for Northampton's Andy Williams. At the weekend we showed this, so I feel like we have a duty of care. So this was too bad to be true. One of the misses of the season from Andy. And from that, well, we kind of went to too good to be true, didn't we? It's a really good finish. But we'll have a little look at it now. Ball's picked up here, and as we don't often see this in the one camera. He's clearly offside there, so got a bit lucky.
A little bit lucky, but what a finish.
Yeah.
You know, and you've got to play to the whistle, and I know Swindon are going crazy here, but later.
If a fancied team had started like Crewe Alexandra, we'd be talking about it. And we weren't expecting this, and it's been a really, really good start. What do you put it down to?
I think they've got a spine of senior players now. They added Lancashire in the summer on a fray, and they've
Kyle as well.
Nolan, Green and Porter, who are really experienced players. Unlike what they normally do with the young ones. They're being helped out. Fantastic finish to the season last year as well.
Yeah. You also know with the manager, David Artell, in January 2017, they've stayed with him, so he's definitely the boss.
He's the boss, there you go, and it makes a big difference. Don't keep changing them all the time.
Absolutely. OK, listen, we're nearly out of time, so we've got to get straight on now to our final round of games from the midweeks. And listen, good story for you here. They say every dog has its day, and on the trip to Mansfield, the Leyton Orient kit man, Adrian Martin, risked his life rescuing Pavo the dog from traffic on a very busy A12. Now, they took temporary ownership of the dog. It was all over the internet. And they said that Pavo would be their new lucky charm after not so much luck in their last couple of games. So let's see how that worked out.
An eventful trip to Mansfield for the O's, which started with the kit man rescuing a dog running loose on a busy A12. Just a pity Marvin Ekpiteta wasn't quite as successful in trying to catch a fleeing Danny Rose. The striker put away the penalty with the minimum of fuss, and the Stags had the lead. With less than half an hour gone, another Orient defender found himself in the doghouse. This time Joe Widdowson sent Kellen Gordon sprawling, and this was fast becoming a walk in the park. Rose again on target from the spot with his 5th goal in 4 games. Anyone expecting a comeback at that point were probably barking up the wrong tree, given the O's hadn't scored since the opening day. But Connor Wilkinson sniffed out a chance to put the match back in the balance. The men in red now had their tails up as home boss John Dempster became increasingly hot under the collar, especially when former Stag Lee Angol squeezed in the leveller. Scandalous is how Dempster described his side's second-half collapse, made worse in the 6th minute of stoppage time, as Jordan Maguire-Drew got the final touch to bundle in the winner. Another successful rescue mission complete.
After back-to-back draws, Bradford got their W on Saturday thanks to a comprehensive win over Oldham. They made it back-to-back wins thanks to Tom Saw's own goal just before half-time. Stevenage couldn't find an equaliser, Ben Kennedy coming closest with 2 minutes to go. The Bantams' unbeaten start stretches to 4 games as they try to bounce straight back to League One.
You don't have to be a genius to work out Walsall's main problem. Against Newport, James Hardy's shot was as close as they came to adding to a meagre tally of only 2 league goals so far. In fairness, Newport are on a 14-match unbeaten run. Jamil Matt's header was their best chance of taking all 3 points.
Brace yourselves for a ding-dong affair at the Abbey. James Perch had been back from a ban for 21 minutes when he lunged at Harvey Nibbs, earning him a red card and likely 3 more games on the sidelines. Despite being a man light, Scunthorpe took the lead. Rory McArdle with a free header from Regan Slater's corner. After the break though, Cambridge turned it around quickly. First, Leon Davis' excellent cross was centred by Paul Lewis so well that Nibbs just had to let it hit him to score his first senior goal. 2 minutes later, the U's had the lead. Greg Taylor's cross wasn't properly cleared, Lewis this time claiming a rather scrappy second. But on the hour mark, Scunthorpe were back in it. A copy and paste job from the first half, a Slater set piece from the right, McArdle with another unchallenged header, 2-2. There had to be a winner though. Luke Hannant causing devilment on the left, Lewis thumping home a header. Scunthorpe, the bookies' favourites for promotion, now bottom of the table.
Nobody wants to visit Cheltenham these days. The Robins formidable on home turf, and it was no surprise when they took the lead against struggling Carlisle on 15 minutes. Bristol Rovers loanee Gavin Riley with his first for the club. You have to go back to early January to find the last time there was an away win in this part of Gloucestershire. When Charlie Raglan hit the post, Riley was hoping to pick up the pieces, but the ball just wouldn't drop for him. A let-off there for the Cumbrians, but their doom was sealed shortly before the break. Luke Varney may be closing in on his 37th birthday, but the old warhorse still knows where the goal is. Too easy this for Cheltenham, whose home form makes them an outside bet for promotion.
Colchester made light of the 200-mile trip to Grimsby with a strong first half. Frank Nouble blasting in for his first of the season with 25 minutes on the clock. Nouble was involved again on the stroke of half-time. If his opening goal was all about power, his assist to make it 2-0 was sheer finesse. A classy cross with the outside of the boot for Luke Norris to continue his impressive start to the season. That return journey was looking positively pleasant, but the Mariners had other ideas. Referee Robert Lewis took an age to make a decision after Ryan Jackson brought down Moses Ogbu. Eventually he pointed to the spot and James Hansen made the wait worthwhile for the home fans. And surely they would all still have been in place when Matt Green fired in a spectacular equaliser with 3 minutes to go. 3 points gone for Colchester, unless of course they got caught out by those notorious A1 speed cameras on the way home.
Apologies, alas, we are out of time. Thanks, Ollie. No backstop, we've got to move on. Here's the tables. Crewe lead the way after 3 consecutive wins, followed by Bradford, Cambridge and Exeter. After just 4 games, no side in AFL has a 100% winning record. The bottom 4 are the only teams yet to pick up a win, with Scunthorpe, Oldham and Stevenage all on 1 point. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't call it a comeback, but how can you not? Good night.